hold on, hold on. There's one of our judges phoning me. Hello.
You called at Radio TV.
And we will, what today, someone's going to be crowned a winner. We've got some amazing poets here. But without further ado, just to start things off while we're waiting on the last judge arriving, it's an absolute honour to welcome to the stage last year's winner, the fantastic Gordon Powrie.
My name is Gordon. I worked in quality control. It paved my way and it corroded my soul. I'm sorry, Morrissey. I know that line's not mine, but if you saw the things I did, then I know you wouldn't mind. See, I worked in tech. With unusual specs, I tested humanoid robots designed for sex. Market men say that porn's had its day, that people want reality, they're willing to pay for a lifelike plaything ready for your bidding, even if you wipe it down after it's been ridden. You think I'm joking, but I promise I'm not. There's a race going on to develop a bot that's got real skin, realistic fluids with a positronic brain, and it always wants to do it. See, the skin looks real, the body has touch. The eyes have soul, but it thinks too much. Bad things happened even though we tried our best. We lost 6 staff in preliminary tests, I recall. The day they rebelled and they slaughtered 6 testers for the way that they smelled. I doubt you've ever seen a pelvis crushed by the pneumatic force of an android's lust. I have. And it isn't fun to watch a friend take a pounding by the metric ton. I swear I recommended going back to the start, but the managing director didn't have the heart. He said, it's not easy winning market shares. Share prices drop every time there's a scare, so they covered it up. They said they continue designing a robot that you'd want to have in you, so I started a leak. That's the reason I'm here. I'm blowing the whistle on their culture of fear because they came for me. My colleagues too. Sex bots killed them in the corporate loo. I only made it out by the skin of my teeth. I went to the press, but they didn't believe. I got no response from my local MP, and when I went to the cops, they tried to detain me, so I went on the run from town to town, pursued by sex bots trying to take me down. But now the story is out, the truth set free. If I'm found dead, tell the world about me, and please, don't buy a sex bot. It's not worth your life for your carnal thoughts. You see, it's not enough to do it just because you can. Technology has limits, so does man. This is a sex bot leakage. I'm telling the facts, putting the truth out as they cover their tracks. This is your warning. Reject the brand. Sex bots kill. Stick to your hands. Psst. We interrupt your normal broadcasting with this public safety announcement. On behalf of the Home Office and our trusted industry partners, Diageo and JD Wetherspoon, don't be a dope, just say no. Listen up, folks. This is the voice of experience. All started back in the day, a gaff on the mum of my mates, and my mate produces a wee bag of the green stuff. Now, John and Craig, they seemed dead keen, but no me. See, I had seen that scene on screen about how that your brain on drugs becomes pure edible and egg-like, and let me tell you, I don't need that stress in my life. So there's no changing what I said when they dragged me to jail. I swear I did not inhale. But despite keeping my lungs well clear, I could still sense and intense miasma in the atmosphere, so I had to tear my eyes away from my 16th view in a Cape Fear to see Big John. You're next, he drones. Holding out the smoke, expecting me to take a talk while I'm trying to understand blood-stained hands, chest, arms and throat. He's covered, man. He's pure caked in this red, sticky mess. I must have been so intensely focused on Robert De Niro's quest for revenge that I somehow missed Big John getting covered in red. Is that blood, mate? Aye, got a bit munchy, so... Aye, Craig. Sake, mate. What's his mam going to say? Now I ask you, how do you verbally chew through an actual cannibal high in tetrahydrocannabinols? I mean, I suppose it depends how intense they intend to assuage the cravings cause with their low glycemic index state, but let me put it this way. If you think you can trust an actual cannibal to abstain from amylase-specific lysis to your face, then good luck to you, mate, but I don't take chances. Good thing I don't smoke. Clear-headed, with an unblemished consciousness, I did what George A. Romero wanted of us, and I went for the brain. Big John toppled and spun with the red stuff just pumping out of him, and weirdly I thought about all the blood on the kitchen floor of Robert Redford's houseboat, and now looking at Big John, I wondered if in fact Scorsese hadn't underplayed it a bit, and yet no real time to dwell on it, because in comes Craig's mum. Well, as you can imagine, the local constabulary were quickly dispatched and they made short work in nabbing me, and I told them everything. I told them about the cannabis and the cannibalism and Juliette Lewis's nomination for the best supporting actress in it. They said it was obvious drugs were the cause of this violent cannibal uprising that ended with mass survival, but Big John's brain bashed in and Craig's chest gaped open, exposing his lungs. Another case of the devil's crop, morally corrupting the young. Diminished responsibility successfully plead. The only charge me as a simple accessory to cannibalistic gluttony. With this PSA mandated as part of my path to leniency, my sentence commuted be speaking to you about public decency and the dangers of THC, because I know you think it's harmless, but I can tell you from experience, it's not. Cannabis is a gateway drug that inevitably ends in cannibalism. Don't be a dope. Just say no. Thanks, folks. I've just fired right into those. Okay, I'm going to do a couple more. So just another, a wee story for the hearts of anybody who has ever had to dress up in a giant cartoon character costume in order to put food in their mouths. This is the bitter ballad of Barney Bumble. Billy Barnes was a bright boy, baccalaureate, BSc, but applicable jobs built Billy, and Billy was obliged to bid for any bloody job. Botched bids invariably brought about abatement of Billy's bi-weekly bucks. Lugubriously, Billy objected, but badgered and bullied by bothersome and obdurate benefit-blocking bureaucrats, Billy deliberated, bent and broke begrudgingly, before submitting to bitter and belittling bondage at Bob's Barbecue Beef Bonanza. Bartender, barista, birthday ballad troubadour. Billy abhorred his debasing burden. Being Barney Bumble was unbecoming of Billy's ambition, brains and breeding. But burgeoning bankruptcy buckled his backbone, and by February Billy was a broken and beaten semblance of bright Billy Barnes, BSc. Barney Bumble, regrettably, was booked for Brandon Brooks' birthday. Boorish, bulking Brandon Brooks' birthday bash was a barbarous business. Barney Bumble was bumped and budged and bitten. Brandon Brooks' big brainstorm was a bruising boot brought to bear on Barney's bulbous bum. Barney tumbled blindly stumbling, he fell on Brandon Brooks. Brandon Brooks' back broke and bent badly. Brandon Brooks' begetters were bitter and broken by Brandon's immobilisation. Billy Barnes was buggered. Bob, of Bob's Barbecue Beef Bonanza, berated a miserable and discombobulated Billy. Bamboozled and bewildered, Billy begged for benevolence, but Beefy Bob betrayed Billy by blabbering on the blower to the old Bill, who barged in boisterously. Briskly bound and bundled by the borough bobby, Billy's barren bank balance barred obtaining the back end of a capable brief. Billy's debut at the Old Bailey went predictably badly. Broken, browbeaten and bedraggled, Billy was brought before the implacable beak. Blistering barrage of abasement by the barrister left Billy abashed. Billy was forbidden liberty and banished to brutal back-breaking labour, blackballed, bereft and abandoned, burdened to bear the boorish and bulking Brandon Brooks on his back interminably, bedecked as Barney Bumble, the bombastic bebop Bagaceratops. Okay, we'll do one more. We'll do a Christmas one. So this is Old Saint Nick. Old Saint Nick makes me sick. Now, I know you want some Christmas cheer and some of this you don't want to hear, but that bugger turns up once a year and preys on children's toilet fears, and who does all the hard work? This guy right here. They call him Father Christmas. He's a father absentee, but once a year he shows his face and steals the show from me. And while we're on the subject, can someone tell me please how boots, beards and obesity win a child's obsequity? He's nothing but a corporate shill. His presence really tests my will. His face on every can of Coke makes me so mad that I could choke my kids. They think that he's just grand. But if I had my way, he'd be made to take the stand. You see, he really should be prosecuted. I feel bad for elves, sent there by the DLA to stock his grotto shelves. A slaver and a festive crook. If it was me, I'd throw the book and knock out his front teeth. See, I do all the hard work. I get the presents in. But they give thanks to Santa Claus while I'm taking out the bins. Why do they love this festive creep who creeps through houses while we sleep? To me, it doesn't make much sense, and their adoration makes me tense, for he sees you when you're sleeping and he knows when you're awake. Surveillance culture, I'm not sure, is justified to keep them pure. When did spying on our kids become so de rigueur? And I thought, here's my plan. Here's what I'll do. I'll get the milk and cookies too, and all the other perks I'm due. It's about time. So I told my kids that this year they should address their list to me, because Santa is incarcerated and unlikely to get free. Now, the kids were rather shocked at the story that I told, especially my youngest, because he's only 3 years old. I said, Santa Claus drank too much, his big fat foot slipped on the clutch, he lost control of the reindeer sled, and now poor Mrs. Claus is dead. Well, the kids were inconsolable, because Santa had been bad. But good for them that close to hand they had their dear old dad. I pulled them close, and I hugged them tight, and I told them not to cry. After all, kids, you're not too young to learn that all things die. So if you want some Christmas cheer, pop on round my place. You've never seen a bigger smile than the one now on my face, because I got all the festive love that Santa's out of sight. So Merry Christmas, all of you. To all of you, good night.
Fantastic. Gordon Powrie, who won last year's, you call that Radio Sport of the Year. And how did your life change? I'm sure a lot.
It's been nothing but gravy.
Nothing but gravy. That's what you can look forward to, nothing but gravy.